Hi everyone, this is Karak with ACG, and today I'm bringing you a preview for Farcry Primal. You know, I rarely do previews, but when I do, it's on games that go out of their way to channel Ron Perlman's first movie, Quest for Fire, and single-handedly trying to remind me that Mark Singer with a fake tan isn't the only Beastmaster in town. Now, when it comes to this title, some of the video may not match what I'm saying, but that's because a lot of it has to be hidden until later on when we can actually show more video and I can do the review. So let's take a look at it. It's really got everything. Cavemen, cave women, fighting off giant beasts, and probably the trippiest Bambi sequence in a title I've ever seen. So let's get to it. As always, if you liked the video, maybe share it or subscribe. So here's the preview for Farcry Primal, a world which even the nerds are straight up yoked like defensive linemen, arrows thicker than most water hoses, and nighttime gameplay changes that might as well be called Leopard Catapult Hour. So first up, I think it's important to discuss a bit about how Far Cry Primal came about. Far Cry Blood Dragon was stone cold awesome. Someone inside Ubisoft said, let's do something like that again. So people asked them if they were going to do something like that again. They said no, and then boom, they did anyway. This time, instead of the neon-soaked over-the-top action movie atmosphere of Blood Dragon, these guys went straight up back in time, to the caveman days when men were men and women looked like men, and most likely a lot of feeling was needed to tell the difference. Primal tells the tale of Takhar, a man who, through no real fault of his own, sets off a chain of events in a new land after almost dying because he wanted to get something to eat. Basically, this is the story of falling down the caveman tale, but replace Michael Douglas with The Rock standing on, well, his own shoulders. Graphics are up first. So far, I've got about 20 plus hours under my belt, and have to say, many moments of Far Cry Primal look amazing, and with all manner of post-processing effects that we expect from that engine of Far Cry 3 and then 4, but even now with a longer draw distance and some fixes from that title that we know they've done. As they have said, they've optimized a great deal of their renderer code, utilizing things that they've learned since Far Cry 3, resulting in probably some of the densest layering of foliage we've seen in a console title to date, with a draw-in distance that's many times out of sight of the player, regardless of the fact that the landscape itself and its draw distance within the game is absolutely astonishing. And this is a world that's roughly nearly the size of Far Cry 4 in landmass, at least that's what they say. Now, make no mistake though, even within the first couple minutes, there's a maturity to the game engine that can be seen instantly, though with a limited frame rate of 30 on the consoles. So you gotta remember that. Right now, the engine looks good. The world is diverse, and the range of both flora and fauna is beyond anything I think I've seen attempted in any of their past games, if not many others. Also, you can ride some of the creatures, which is just amazing. Now, animations are varied as well, with some of the enemies taking you on mano-a-mano. Let me tell you though, the first time an enemy drops to all fours, like during battle he suddenly forgets he's at least part human, is both absolutely chilling and awesome as hell. The animation between the two blends from pushing towards you on four limbs and then rushing up in this cramped humping run that does more to suggest these dudes being absolute roided muscle monsters than anything else could really ever suggest. Really, also great animation from creatures fighting one another to a bear standing tall threatening your entire escort party with one-hit kill annihilation, to the first time you get attacked by America's tried and true heritage bird, the eagle. Almost everything in Primal is done bigger, better, and grander than those past titles, and really the landscape becomes the hero and the story here. And so far the geography itself is both varied, complex, and vertical, with vertical faces, hidden cave networks, and open prairies, all feeling very naturally progressive from one to the other. Now that being said, some random last generation rock textures and the occasional flat texture work as a whole will sometimes leave a place looking really good until you look down. Or sometimes the occasional bird will fly into a rock, then scrape its face up the rock for 15 seconds before flying off the way it came, like it was too stubborn to turn around and gravity said, you know what, damn, that's cool, and just gave it a pass. Now, so far, it's a great package, but a couple imperfections I think we can expect. Sound, music, and voice. I think we'll talk about sound first. So far it's amazing with true separation for all channels and the effects, distance, reverb, echo, occlusion, and mixing all done really to perfection. The first time I knew an enemy was behind me but also standing behind a tree was when I knew this was pretty much done right. Come out of a cavern with that sound envelope that widens to an almost stunningly wide channel results in both your eyes and ears having to become accustomed to being outside. Now if you reverse that, the visual clutterness that claustrophobia brings is built upon by the cramped confines of close-in audio work, and a small cave feels like a damn mole tunnel. There's also things like getting stalked by a leopard or being attacked by a pissed-off pig you assume would go down with one hit from your tree trunk-sized club. They're all mixed beautifully as well. I'm keeping my ear out on this. Music. Now, music is lean when it comes to overarching environmental pieces, and usually they signal a change in the story, a chapter break, or a unique location. But there is other music within the title as well, that being played by the natives, by the cavemen themselves, both friendly and not so much. There's the thrum of a wood and deerskin drum, or the occasional call from a stick hollowed out to make the world's worst flute. It's good stuff. For the most part, it stays well clear of making sure you know it's there. But a couple moments of high stress I realized only, sometimes while dying, that the music had crept in like some kind of special accompaniment to the enemy I was facing. Very cool, but I can see for some people this being a little bit lean when it comes to music. Voice. So I'm loving it so far. It's a stretch of 3 fake dialects Ubisoft has made it known they're real languages in the sense that they totally aren't, but that they have their own words and syntax, and they are different from one another. After a couple hours, you're going to begin to understand some basic words, and the first time you're getting your entire village attacked by what appears to be a gorilla that mounted a human head on its shoulders, you might end up being surprised when someone yells that they see the enemy, and you know simply by the word they use, or the first time you pick up that they do a unique verb-noun style. During escort missions, you can hear the AI talk to one another about little things they're seeing and so forth. It's an amazing idea, and one that's bearing fruit right now as I continue to play, and I look forward to understanding more of the language as I go on. Gameplay. The game's really about stripping much of the civility and slickness from Far Cry and injecting more survival into it, like Ark, and you have Far Cry Primal. Food, lodging, weapons all need to be found, scrounged, and built. Supplies from the world are gathered, and you quickly outfit yourself with some defensive measures, because, make no mistake, unless you're playing on easy, this world is far more dangerous than any Far Cry title would ever have you believe. Now, first off, combat, at least right now, is a little bit of both good and bad. Ranged weapons are fun to use, even if a bit odd, until you turn off the aim assist. And smashing an arrow the size of a forearm into an enemy's breath hole is probably never going to get old. Neither is hitting them over the head with what can only charitably be called the world's worst made club. Or sticking 3 spears into their guts and they're still scrambling to end you. It's great stuff, but at times, depending on the weapon, the close combat can still feel a bit odd, and I would give my eyes for a quicker, less send the enemy into orbit kind of swing from the club. Then again, light that thing on fire and touch an enemy with it, and you give a whole new meaning to cooked goose. As you move forward in the story, you start to take on the role of a teacher and a leader. Doing this results in the ability to build out your village, which is done with a fairly cool cinematic and watching the actual world and that village spread around you. And the reflection of life and safety there is actually mimicked. Originally just warriors, then families with kids playing in the streams. There's an attachment there that's obviously planned as your village spreads out around you, and you begin to even alter the land itself in both a subtle and not so subtle way that you might miss if you don't look closely. Soon within the game you can tame animals, MacGyver yourself all kind of caveman life would suck reminders to use on enemies, and explore the game world. Hunting is one of those things you do. It's fantastically fun, and though you can sense enemies using your patented caveman Panavision, you can also shut off everything in the HUD, resulting in a zero-hint, zero-HUD game. Either way you play, you use blood splatters, the altering of nearby animals, and the tracks that they leave, which allow you to hunt down both normal and unique creatures the game world inhabits the land with. And yes, the first time you see a woolly mammoth is pretty damn epic. Taking actions, meeting people, hunting, taming animals, and pretty much everything else unlocks new skills, locations, and yes, there is a pseudo-style Assassin's Creed tower in the game, but they are very, very few and far in between. In fact, though the game still somewhat has an icon-heavy main map, a lot of the go here and collect this has been replaced with go here and do this. There are some collectibles, but so far they're happily caged within 2 to 3 items. The game world just isn't about that. It's about scavenging for stuff to build up your villages, protect them, and of course, further the story. And then there's nighttime, the death of day, and most likely, yours as well. Really, I'm telling you, right now, when the sun even looks like it's slipping behind some rocks, you want to be either someplace safe or headed there, because at night all manner of predators come out, and surviving it is laughably difficult at times. Almost instantly, roving bands of wildcats, giant wolves, and other dark and sinister things seek to end your life in a way they know how, which is to see how you digest. It's epic, it's inspiring, and it's a bit butt-clenching, but man, it's actually really enjoyable. Luckily, you still have propagating fire both on the land and up the club that you light on fire to light your way through the world with. It can be used as a weapon, as a tool, or as a safety net to scare away some of those creatures. You see, even within the first couple hours, you really do start to realize how many strategies you can use. I was able to get animals to panic and fall off cliffs to their deaths, saving arrows. I was also able to throw a rock, have it bounce off 2 trees, and watch an enemy creep around the edge of that tree to be attacked by the giant bear that I had led there. This is a 10th of the unique strategies so far that I've been able to pull off. Luckily, some of them in my current posted Let's Plays that you'll see today. It's been great, but that doesn't mean it is great. I've yet to see how all this ties up, and I'm not in love with the close combat, though I admit it is growing on me. You know, sometimes a surprise means that someone was hiding something and the end result is messy for everyone. Here, however, it looks like the folks at Ubisoft saw an idea and said, you know what, let's make it its own. It may have the Far Cry name, but so far it feels fresher and more balanced than almost any title bearing that moniker, despite the fact that it does have many similarities. So as always, I hope you guys liked the video. That's my preview right now. I'm going to continue playing this. I'm really enjoying my time with it. If you liked the video, maybe share it, maybe subscribe. Thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. As always, peace out.